We're grateful for all the work that Sanford's doing here in North Dakota to help expand capacity. And we've heard today from both the doctors that were here about the importance and efficacy of wearing masks to slow the spread. So I think, again, we've covered all that multiple times. Lane.
Governor, I'm sure a lot of people across the state are wondering this as well, but why now for these mitigation, or for the mitigation? Why not 2 to 3 months ago when we were seeing then record high numbers?
Well, I think that was really tied back to hospital capacity, which we said all along that if we could manage, having our economy open, having our kids in school in person, manage as normal of life as we could, including activities and fall sports, completing all the fall sports championships. I mean, we're trying to fight to keep things open and balance that against hospital capacity. And when we saw these numbers really rising in the first 10 days of November, and then because of the close work we're working with the hospitals, that's when we saw the projections of rising cases means future hospitalization. So we're trying to avoid, a Thanksgiving or post-Thanksgiving crunch where we do get overwhelmed. And so that's what the timing of it is. And I know that we've got COVID fatigue going on in the nation and in our state, and so we're also sensitive to try to do the least amount we can and trying to balance. This is a risk management effort on behalf of all of us, and we again. Even before any of the quote mandates, we've been very clear for months and months and months that individual responsibility was going to be key to that, and it still is the same. It's going to come down to, students and players and coaches and parents and the community as a whole on whether or not we're going to have we're going to get through this thing and whether that inflection curve's going up or whether it's going down. So it's still going to come back to what individuals do, but our timing was related to looking at the models of when we might run out of hospital capacity based on all the new infections that came in the first 10 days of November. I'm going to go to Jacob, and then we'll kind of go around the horn.
Governor, not too long ago, there was a health officer order regarding close contacts, and that order was changed almost the next day. On Friday, you made the announcement regarding high school activities, and within a few days, that announcement was changed as well. How do people in North Dakota know that when a new guideline is set, that won't change if there's even a little bit of pushback?
Well, I would say what they can count on from us as leaders is that we're making adjustments as we navigate a storm. I mean, this really is like a storm. And if I can use a sailing analogy, if you're in a storm, the winds aren't constant from one direction, and they can anybody that's ever sailed knows that you got to adjust the tiller. And as we're going through this every day, we got more information, we get more feedback. We get feedback from our great legislature. We get feedback from the leaders. We get feedback from parents and coaches. We also get a lot of feedback from nurses and frontline workers and medical association. And a lot of that feedback is in complete opposition to each other. I'm sure you've all seen it. I mean, we've got, group people that every day, every decision, it's either too much or it's too little, it's too soon or it's too late. And in the middle of that storm, we got to keep a hand on the tiller, and we keep driving forward. And so I'm completely comfortable with making decisions based on data and then taking new feedback and saying we got to adjust it a little bit and going forward. That's what it takes to actually get through this. I think ideology and rigidity in a storm would lead to sheer failure. You'd never make it through a storm if you never made any adjustments to your sails set, your direction, your tiller direction. You'd never would make it through. So this is part of what we have to do. Okay. Okay. I'll go back to online. Thank you, Mike.
Dick Torland with the Tiger Tribune. What consequences will you impose on school districts declining to enforce the mask mandate?
I think that will be up to and discussed by the Department of Public Instruction. So we'll have to pass that on because I haven't been part of those discussions. But I think you heard today that a great way to keep kids in school and save the winter sports season is to actually do the mitigation. So I think I would hope that we wouldn't be in a position where we're on the other end of that. I would hope that we'd be following the leaders like the two leaders we had here today that are doing all the smart moves to keep teachers safe and keep their community safe and keep kids in school and keep activities going. Because if you want a winter sports season, the path to get there is a smart mitigation in the schools. Okay, we'll keep going online.
Mike Smith, 660KYZ in Williston. Kind of going off of that, we're likely to see a Thanksgiving spike and a Christmas spike, and there's a good chance we won't see good numbers until after the new year. I'm concerned about that and the timing of the return to high school athletics, as we could see a suspension due to those numbers. If the numbers are not better by December 13th, will high school sports and activities be in jeopardy of further delay?
Well, I think that there's a lot of speculation in that. I think what we're trying to do right now, if we all come together, is to drive these numbers down.